30, I'll call the meeting to order. Our first item is our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The mission of the Marshall Public School District is to educate, support, and prepare all learners for success. Our next item is approval of the agenda. There's one change to the agenda. We're going to pull item 7.4 out of the consent agenda, and we'll discuss that after we approve the consent agenda. So I'll make a motion to approve the agenda with that correction.
I'll second.
Thanks, Jeff. A motion by myself and seconded by Jeff to approve the agenda. Any further discussion? I will call for the vote. That is approved. Our next item is a public forum. Anybody from the public want to approach the board? I don't see anyone, so we'll move on. Introduction of the Director of Operations. Jeremy.
We've got two new employees I'm excited to introduce to you guys this afternoon. First one is Ms. Tricia Stelter. She's a familiar face to this table. Tricia will be joining us as the new Director of Operations starting July 1st. She previously worked in the district office for 18 years as Executive Assistant to the Superintendent. She spent 2 years away from MPS, equipping herself with a deeper understanding of various operational functions within an organization, which makes her the perfect candidate for this position. Tricia is ready to return to MPS as a new Director of Operations and foster a collaborative and effective work environment where everyone can thrive. So welcome back, Tricia.
Welcome back, Tricia.
Yeah, come on up and. Deb wants a nice picture of you.
Yeah. Well, Jeremy pretty much said everything I was going to say, but I just want to take a moment and say thank you for the opportunity to return to Marshall Public Schools. Like Jeremy said, I was here for 18 years as the executive assistant to the superintendent, and so it really, to me, feels like I'm coming back home, and I'm really excited to be here. We have a couple new faces at the table, so just a little bit about me. My husband Jeff and I, we have 3 kids. Our oldest just graduated this last May. We have a son that's going to be a junior this year, and then a daughter that's going to be in 8th grade. And so I am fully invested in Marshall Public Schools, and I look forward to returning and serving our students and our staff and our community. So again, thank you for the opportunity.
Awesome.
Thanks, Tricia.
Welcome.
The other person I'd like to introduce you to this afternoon is Ms. Sarah Kirchner. Sarah is starting with the district on July 8th as our new Director of Finance. Sarah has served as Fiscal Manager for Southwest Health and Human Services for about 7 years, and then CEO of Prairie Home Hospice and Community Care for nearly 3 years. Prior to that, she attended SMSU and obtained undergraduate degrees in Business Administration and Marketing, and later went back for her MBA. We are excited to have Sarah join our team and share all of her experience with us. So, Sarah, you're welcome to say a couple things if you want to, or you can just wave or whatever you'd like to do. Okay. Sarah will be joining us at the board table at the next board meeting as well after she started her position.
Thank you guys for having me, and I appreciate your confidence in my abilities to keep things going here from a finance perspective. My husband and I are really excited for this opportunity, and I have 2 daughters that are in the school system now, so I'm pretty excited to join this wonderful opportunity. And I really am looking forward to having a little better balance in my life, hopefully, from my current position, and just looking forward to getting more back into the realm of finance specifically. So thank you.
Awesome. Welcome, Sarah.
Next item is the consent agenda.
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion by Jeff and seconded by Bill to approve the consent agenda. I will call for the vote. And that is approved. The next one is item 7.4, the review of policies 506 to 507 that we pulled off the consent agenda for further discussion. And I'm going to make a motion to table this for further approval later so we can clarify some things.
I will second that motion.
Thank you, Anne Marie. A motion by myself and seconded by Anne Marie to table the third and final review of policies 506 to 507.5. Any further discussion?
Just share, there's some questions about verbiage in there. We want to make sure we understand the intent from MSBA and from the state with the legislative changes before we do a final approval on those.
Thanks, Jeremy. I will call for the vote. And that is approved. Our next item is approval of the bills for May, June 2024.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Jeff and second by Sarah Brink to approve the bills. And Liana is going to share some information with us.
So I guess with this first one, I just wondered if anybody had any questions about any of the bills. I know Dion had sent this to Sarah ahead of time, just highlighting a couple of our bigger checks and what they were for. We had some cameras for the high school, some new devices, some things like that. So if there were any questions anybody had about any of those, I'd be happy to answer.
Any questions?
Okay. And then if you want to move on to the treasurer's
Okay, let's
report.
vote on this
Want to
first.
vote on that first, okay. Sorry.
You're good.
You're fine.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, now we'll move on to the treasurer's report.
Okay, just a couple of quick things. If you'll notice, the transportation fund is negative. We are expecting about another 190,000 in revenue that's just not here yet. It's timing. And then with the health insurance, with this, that does not include the payroll payout that we just did, Lindsay just did last Friday. There will be another 520,000 that goes into that account. Now, some of that will come back out as payments before the end of the month, but we're pretty confident that we'll be back in the black by the end of the month. And then for the revenue and expenses, the difference you'll notice at the bottom was looking 1.6 million. Dion said he was expecting that to actually be at the end of the month because the payroll payout was close to $9 million. So that was a pretty big chunk of our bank account. Said the difference will probably be closer to 1.1 billion by the end of the fiscal year. Anybody have any questions for me? Those were the big highlights this month.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you, Liana.
you bet.
And thank you for all your work as we transition through the next few weeks, 3 weeks.
Liana's doing a nice job keeping us in track.
Okay, the next item. Board reports or updates? Anything from the board?
I have a families collaborative meeting at the end of June, at which time we will review the latest requests for funds, and for approval, we've allotted $43,000 to the different agencies for Lincoln, Lyon County, and Murray County. So I haven't seen those yet, but we will make decisions at that time. Usually we have at least one from Marshall Public Schools. At that time, we'll see. But I'll report that back in July.
And the Finance Committee met right before this meeting with Ellers via Zoom, and just looking at options for a operating referendum or a capital projects referendum. We'll have more details later as we figure out what we're going to do, so.
Mr. Chair, as you know, negotiations met with our administrators, and we just started negotiations, which is going fine so far.
Very good. And we're going to meet again this week, same time. Anybody else? Okay, our administrative reports. Jeremy.
All right, thank you. Just a few updates from each site, do some highlights of the reports. First, in my report, I welcomed the 2 new staff that are actually here. We've already done that piece. I also want to share that our admin team recently met for our annual 2-day summer work sessions. At that meeting, we took time to review progress we've made this year, looking at our goal setting and some formation work for next year. After taking time to review that data and progress, we also spent a lot of time just talking about general planning for pieces and the buildings working together, so it's always a valuable time talking about alignment of processes, procedures, and plans for the new year. So we had a couple good days. We met at the upper room this year for that meeting, so it got off campus and time to really just focus on where we're strategically heading going through that strategic plan. So appreciate the time with that team to get to do that work. In the early childhood, Tiffany shares a few things. One thing is that the FORS Voluntary Pre-K Preschool has a few spots available yet for the upcoming school year. Legislation passed that allows VPK to be permanent for a 70 VPK spot, so that's exciting. That means there's no tuition and fees for VPK because of that funding. Our Threes preschool program also has spots available for 24-25. We've added a new classroom with 2 additional Threes classes to help with early childhood numbers. We had just an increase in needs, so we have added that classroom as part of this year's programming. In the beginning of July, follow-up letters will be sent out to families about those options. She also shares they're offering 2 classes this summer for young children and families. Both classes are available at no cost. In June, Let's Get Ready for Kindergarten runs the week of June 3rd and June 10th, so that's passed. Jody Frazee is teaching those classes, focusing on kindergarten readiness skills. In July, they're also running an Art and Science Explorers class. The class is focused on STEM and activities for children ages birth through 5, so some fun things taking place within our preschool programming. At Parkside, Darcy shares that May brings lots of excitement as students and teachers are eager to enjoy warm weather and begin summer break. Those last couple weeks, if you haven't been at Parkside the last couple weeks, that's a fun spot to be at the end of the school year. She shared that as they're finishing things up, they also administered spring assessments. The spring MAP testing took place. Each grade level had special activities celebrating hard work, and kindergarten had some field trips going to Garvin Park with different activities. First grade went on a trip to the YMCA where they swam and completed their ABC countdown with different themes through the end of the school year. At I don't want to miss some growth. One of the tests that they give at Parkside each year is the DIBELS assessment. That's how we're measuring the foundational reading skills. That's our READ Act work. The students showed great levels of growth this year, so really excited about what we see there. That really lines up to that work that's been taking place, and it's assessment we're going to continue using to measure that growth going forward. It's proving that the work that we're doing is really paying off and being beneficial. So she's got some information there, and we'll have more data to share as we get to our data share with you guys soon. Southview, Pete shares that Dan Smith invited students over to the high school at the end of the year to see the spring play of Stuart Little. Students really enjoy going to those events. Some don't get a lot of opportunities to go see presentations like that, and Dan does a really nice job with his students preparing to be able to share with elementary kids, so that was a fun activity. He also shares they had 2 bar trainers down on Thursday, right at the end of the year, that staff work day. They completed the 2nd day of implementation training for all the certified staff at Southview. Really good day revolving around stressors of the job, equity, and where we're at, so helping get Southview on track to be ready to go for fall. High school report, he had a number of things in his report, a couple highlights. The 2024 Pride in the Tiger Scholarship Ceremony was at middle of May at the high school. We had 128 students receiving scholarships and awards, totaling over $204,000 to that class. Very appreciative of the work of the Pride in the Tiger Board and generosity of all the sponsors. Also shares that high school met their performance goals at 99.1%. On their SCIP goals for this year, it's up slightly from the 5-year average of 97.7%. He shares he's very proud of what they accomplished this year toward the SCIP goals at the high school, and planning is underway for the next year. Also, of course, the highlight of the year is graduation that took place, and thank you to everyone that was able to attend that this spring. At the ALC and CTI Center, she shares that on May 24th, Maytech had their graduation of 20 students. Ceremony celebrated a number of students that completed their high school requirements and earned the diploma. Shares a big congratulations to that group. That will be the last graduation at Maytech before we move to the new location and become the ALC. That's a big move taking place that they're working on this summer. In activities, a lot of things taking place there as well. He shared baseball wrapped up season with a 20-6 record and a Big South title. Starting next year, the Tigers have a new conference schedule playing both Belle Plaine and TCU. In softball, they finished the year with the most wins in program history, so that's pretty exciting with 18 wins. Morgan Biella was an honorable mention and the all-state team. They also see a shift in their schedule next year as the conference realigns. Both boys and girls golf had golfers qualify for the state meet in Jordan. They competed on Tuesday and Wednesday. Girls cross country and volleyball attended the Twins Championship night. They got to walk on the field before the game and were recognized by the team. That was a fun event for them. Track and field had 22 students participating in the high school state meet at STMA High School. It was highlighted by second place finishes for both the boys and girls 4x800 relay teams. Special thanks he calls out to the radio and the newspaper, to the Marshall Independent for their coverage for this year for everything taking place. Very instrumental in telling the stories this year of our athletics department. Appreciate the time and effort they put in to promote all of our Marshall Tigers. In Beth's report, she shares a review of all the site goals, so I encourage you to read those if you haven't looked at those. Really a successful year with building-wide goals as well as district goals. Looking at the number of students at the Norm Writ and Math and Reading NWA assessments, as well as those that met their growth target as a district, we met our goals at 98%. The percentage for each building is based off of their skip plans. We really appreciate the time and dedication of staff to gather that and reflect on the work throughout the year. Beth also shares that we've set our theme for our next school year for our trainings. For 24-25, this theme is One District, Many Voices. We've designed our school district-wide day during Back to Workshop Week around all the voices that make our school district and are excited to welcome the Pillsbury House Theater as our keynote presentation for that morning. So encourage board members to come and join us for that. She also shares we received preliminary access results and 33 students met exit criteria this year. In order to exit the Yale program, students need to have an overall composite of 4.5 or higher with at least 3 domain scores at 3.5 or better, so 33 kids exiting. It's a lot of growth, and that's really beneficial of the work of our students and our staff in that department. In Jackie's report, she highlights a different thing each month. This month, she's talking about staff training, she's talking about our behavior strategies that we have available in the district. T. Brenner has been in this role for a few years for us, and a few things highlights that she did this year. Some training opportunities for paraprofessionals throughout the district year, including behavioral strategies overall. She has a session she calls Junk Behaviors with questions and answer session about behaviors. Really has been very well received by different staff. She's done that at different buildings and at district-wide training days. She is able to review and provide feedback to case managers when they're revising a student's behavior plans. They're going to be more individualized. We really had a successful year this year with that service. This year we were able to run without the need for additional behavior analyst services that we purchased in the past from outside agencies, so we were able to manage that all in-house this year. She also shares that T is constantly providing behavioral support when needs arise, and she's someone staff can count on and consult when they need input or suggestions. So a resource for our staff members that's been very beneficial. The last report is for Mary Kay's report, Coordinator of Special Programs. She shares that summer school for K through 8, our targeted services programming, started on Monday, June 10th. Students have the ability to choose both sessions. There's 2 sessions in the year, or they can do one or the other. And summer school this year for K-8 is located at Southview Elementary. We're running summer school programming between Southview and the middle school this year, giving the 2 schools, the high school and Parkside, where we've had them for the past number of years, a better chance for deep cleaning this year. So leave them alone with some programming and move it to some different sites. She also shares kind of an exciting thing that happened last week. The students in targeted services, Emily Carroll arranged for the Bramble Zoo to come visit them at Southview, and they were treated to different animals and different things in that. That was a fun event for summer school kids that tied into their theme with that.
Very good. Thanks, Jeremy. Our next item is the first review of policies 508 to 513. Any questions or concerns on these? All right, moving on. Our action items, approval of the 24-25 preliminary budget, which Dion went through a couple weeks ago. So I'll need a motion.
Motion.
Thanks, Jeff.
Second.
Motion by Jeff and seconded by Sarah Brink to approve the 24-25 preliminary budget. Any further discussion? I will call for the vote. And that is approved. Next action item is approval of the 24-25 MPS literacy plan.
Motion.
Thanks, Jeff.
Second.
Thanks, Bill. Motion by Jeff and seconded by Bill to approve our literacy plan. Any questions or concerns or discussion?
Just share this literacy plan as an updated format this year that aligns with the new guidelines from the state for the READ Act. So our literacy task force has put together the information on this. Big thanks to Darcy Love, who did a bulk of the heavy lift with this piece. But it lays out exactly how we do our screenings, what assessments we use, what instructional pieces we use, and how we're going to provide instruction and intervention for all of our students.
I think our district has had leadership in the literacy plan. In fact, they probably educated some of the people at the State Department. We can give the staff who've done that.
They do a
our
great job.
applause.
Yeah,
They did a great job. We're ahead of the ballgame there.
Any further discussion? I'll call for the vote. And that is approved. Next action item is approval of the new signatories on official depository accounts.
So moved.
Wow, you were fast on that. Way to get out of here. I have a second from anyone?
I'll second.
Thanks, Anne Marie. Motion by Jeff and seconded by Anne Marie to approve the new signatories. This is just something we have to do so Sarah can sign the checks.
Piece of cake, Sarah.
Yeah.
I'll call for the vote.
There'll be a few more.
Sarah Kirshner, yes. That is approved. Next item is similar, approval of wire transfer authorizations.
Motion.
Thanks, Jeff.
Second.
Thanks, Sarah. Motion by Jeff and seconded by Sarah Brink to approve the wire transfer authorizations. Any further discussion? I'll call for the vote. That is approved. Next item is approval of the lease agreement between Marshall Public Schools and Adult Basic Education.
So move.
Second.
Motion by Bill and seconded by Jeff to approve this. Any discussion?
Share that this lease agreement is with our move of the ALC to the new location on the SMSU campus. We'll be leasing the entire second floor. You guys approved that lease a while back from a service co-op. And part of that, we've got more space in there than we need. So part of our planning with this all along has been to include ABE within that space. So we're designing some of the space to be for them. This will be the lease agreement to cover their space within that floor.
I bet they're excited about that too.
It's going to be a really nice layout for us, yeah.
I will call for the vote. That is approved. Just a reminder, we only have one meeting in July, so our next meeting will be July 15th, and I will adjourn the meeting.
All right.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.